During the Tudor period, the Tower of London became a place synonymous with torture and execution, as free queens would lose their heads inside of the infamous fortress's walls. It was a place where torture was used, but there is a common misconception, as torture was not applied as often as many people believe, and it was used in many extreme circumstances. Even during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, there was torture used inside of the tower, as the Queen would hunt down many Catholic priests, as they were outlawed. Elizabeth would even execute the woman who many Catholics believed should be the rightful Queen of England, Mary Queen of Scots. But there was one Catholic man whose work saved the lives of many, as he was a builder of priest holes, hiding spots where Catholic priests would stay in when the authorities came looking for them. But Nicholas Owen is remembered as a saint today, and he was one of the only few people to have ever been tortured to death inside of the Tower of London. As always, to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Nicholas Owen was born around the year 1562 in Oxford, and his family were very devout and strict Catholics. His father was a carpenter, and Nicholas joined the family business, and he would learn how to become a joiner, and worked as his father's apprentice. Because of this work, he learned how to make wooden structures and frames that could later be used to hide people inside of, and these skills would make him the greatest priest hole builder later in the whole of England. Two of his brothers later became priests, but Owen wanted to work as a servant to the well-known Jesuit priest Edmund Campion, who would later be hanged, drawn and quartered in front of a huge crowd in Tyburn in 1581. When Campion was arrested, Owen was also arrested, and he tried to argue with the authorities, but when he was released following his master's execution, he then entered the service of another well-known Jesuit, Henry Garnet. During this time, Nicholas Owen began to now build the hiding places that he became famous for, and he would do this in many large homes of high-profile Catholic families. Catholic priests would arrive to conduct secret services, but if the authorities also turned up to arrest them, the families would bundle these priests and religious people in secret hiding spots known as priest holes. Many of these greatest ones were built by Nicholas Owen himself, and he would visit different houses under the name Little John, and he would not take any payment for this. He would just accept food and water for his services. He used different names to remain undercover, and went as a travelling carpenter if anyone asked. But Owen was a very small man himself, and he suffered with a hernia in his side, and he also had a very bad leg from when a horse fell on top of him. Nicholas Owen continued to work, and he continued to conduct hard work, as much of his work involved breaking thick stonework, and also he worked at night and always on his own, so no one would turn him over or betray him. He would build hides of different complexities and complications, and some were very easy, but others would have secret large rooms inside, and in some halls there were more than one priest hole inside of them. Some of these have even not yet been found today, such was the skill of Nicholas Owen and his work. He continued to do this work, but his master Henry Garnet would also be arrested, and Owen was tortured himself but revealed nothing about his work, and he was then released after a wealthy Catholic family paid his fine. He continued to work, and he would even have a role in masterminding the escape of Jesuit priest John Gerard from the Tower of London in 1597. But still, Nicholas Owen continued his brilliant and skilled work, with many different Catholic families using his work and skills. However, in 1606, following the death of Elizabeth I and succession of James I onto the English throne, Nicholas Owen was arrested again while he was working at Hindlip Hall in Worcestershire. His master Henry Garnet was also hiding nearby with another priest, and Owen sacrificed himself in the hope of making sure his master and this other priest were not caught. It was said of his arrest that, "It is incredible how great was the joy caused by his arrest, knowing the skill of Owen in constructing hiding places and the innumerable quality of dark holes which he had schemed for hiding priests all throughout England." Many people learned about the work of Nicholas Owen and his building of priest holes, and priest hunters were very thorough in their searching of the homes because of Owen's skills. But following his arrest, he was taken to Marshalsea Prison, found on the south bank of the River Thames. After a period of imprisonment here, he was then sent to the Tower of London, and was specifically sent here for his torture. The authorities wanted more information about Catholic priests who were hiding, and Owen was put on what was known as a top-cliff rack, the Tower of London's infamous stretching device or rack. This was a terrible torture device and has gone down in history as one of the most feared. A prisoner would find themselves strapped to this rack, their arms and legs secured at each end, and then as the rack was turned, the body was stretched and joints would dislocate, bones would snap and ligaments and muscles would rip. It was excruciating pain, and for many just the sheer sight of the guillotine would be enough for someone to give over their information. But Nicholas Owen was strong in his faith, and he was secured to the rack. He was dangling from a wall with both his wrists held in iron gauntlets, and his body was left hanging. This led to his hernia to bulge out, as did his intestines, and when he was put on the rack, the torture master strapped an iron plate to his stomach to cause more pain and irritate this injury. As the rack was turned, and with each turn, his body was stretched, and Nicholas Owen had a huge amount of pain, but he remained resolute and strong. But then things kept getting worse, as with each turn, the suffering became more intense. But then his hernia was forced out further, and this was then cut by the plate that had been secured to him, and with this Nicholas Owen bled out and died on the rack. He revealed nothing to his torturers, and died during his ordeal, and one of his masters would write, "I verily think no man can be said to have done more good of all those who laboured in the English vineyard." He was the immediate occasion of saving the lives of many hundreds of persons, both ecclesiastical and secular. Interestingly, Nicholas Owen was made a saint in 1960, and he is remembered today as one of the finest, if not the greatest, builder of priest holes in England or in history. He was a man who remained firm to his masters and his Catholic beliefs throughout his life, and he put his skills to good use building refuges for those who were being persecuted. He was working in a time which was very turbulent, and it was the era of the gunpowder plot which was planned, and there were lots of Catholic upset and stress around this. Nicholas Owen is even considered by some as the patron saint of illusionists and escapologists, as he would use optical illusion when creating his hiding places. Still today many of these hiding places can be seen, and these were occupied for some days on end by those who were trying to save their lives. It's probable that if Nicholas Owen did not die inside the Tower of London during his torture, then he would have been probably executed, or would have spent the rest of his life behind bars in strict conditions at places such as Marshalsea Prison. But Nicholas Owen is a man who saved the lives of many, and it was a time in which believing the wrong religion could lead to the death or execution of a religious person. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.